Hello, this is Russell Hawley from the Tate Geological Museum, and today I'm going to be showing you a few more examples of hominids. Now, this one right here was discovered not by a paleontologist, but by a lead and tin miner named Tom Zwigelaar in Rhodesia, which nowadays is the country of Zambia. And to this day, this specimen is sometimes known as Rhodesian man. When he first found it, he stuck it on a post outside the entrance to the mine so that his workers could see it as they went in to the mine in the morning. He thought it would encourage them to work harder. Nothing says obey me like a head on a post. But as time went on and he looked at it more and more, he realized this is a very unusual looking skull. It might be important. And it eventually ended up at the British Museum of Natural History and described as a new species of hominid. Later on, it was realized that this is the same sort of critter as the mandible found at Mauer in Heidelberg, Germany, and named Homo heidelbergensis. So this cranium belongs to that same species. It's different from modern man in that it has very large, very prominent brow ridges and no forehead to speak of, and a slightly lower cranial capacity. This is only 1,300 cubic centimeters, slightly smaller than the modern average of 1,400 cubic centimeters. This individual seems to have been in a lot of pain towards the end of his life. There's 16 teeth in the upper jaw. 11 of them have cavities, including an abscess here that must have been a very painful pus-oozing wound at the time that he died. And also, there's a hole here that shows evidence of having healed before he died. So this was inflicted while he was alive. Whether it was a pointed stick or the tooth of a carnivore, we don't know, but it too must have been pretty painful. All of this may explain why he looks so grumpy. Now this is Peking man. This was discovered by the Cenozoic Research Laboratory at Zhoukoudian Cave, south of Beijing, over the period from 1932 to about 1938. They didn't find any intact skulls of adult males, and so this is a composite from several different individuals showing us what Peking man would have looked like when intact and complete. Later on, other more intact crania were found of this same species and show that this reconstruction is pretty much spot on the money. Peking man belongs to the species Homo erectus, which means upright man. The position of the foramen magnum pointing down shows us that it was standing upright like you and I, but the cranial capacity is only about 2/3 the size of a modern human's brain. Unfortunately, casts of the Zhoukoudian fossils are all that we've got because the fossils were packed up in boxes and ready to be shipped to New York, and the Japanese invaded China the very next day. And during the chaos that followed, the original fossils got lost and nobody knows where they are. It's one of the great enduring mysteries of paleontology. And that brings us to another specimen, the infamous Piltdown Man. This was discovered in 1912 by Charles Dawson with the help of his friends Teilhard de Chardin and Arthur Smith Woodward. Arthur Smith Woodward found this canine tooth, and Dawson found this fragment of mandible and these portions of skull, and then Teilhard de Chardin found some wooden implements that were interpreted as tools. They were all sent to Sir Arthur Keith, who reconstructed the intact skull as it would have appeared in life, and it was a kind of interesting combination of features. The curvature of the cranium bones, is so shallow that it's quite impossible to reconstruct this with a brain capacity of less than 1,400 cubic centimeters. This has a fully human-sized brain. But the mandible is a long ape-like mandible with ape-like teeth, although they are worn down in the human fashion. And although the canine is small, its shape is definitely the shape of an ape canine rather than a human canine. Well, this just put a wrench in everything because Other specimens that were known at that time, like the original Homo erectus specimens found by Eugene Dubois, were not as old as Piltdown Man, but they had smaller brains. So that didn't fit. And later on, when Australopithecus was found, we've got something that has more human-like teeth than Piltdown, but a little tiny ape-sized brain. It was not fitting in with the picture at all. It wasn't until the 1950s that people finally realized that this was a hoax. What Dawson had done is gotten fragments of a medieval human modern cranium and stained it with potassium bichromate to make it look older than it really was. The jawbone is the jawbone of a teenaged orangutan, and it's about 500 years old. Not a fossil at all, but a colossal practical joke. To this day, nobody knows why he did it.